Everybody's online.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing fantastic today. I don't know if you are fantastic, but I am very, very impressed because when I was a teenager, I was definitely a fan of comics. I used to grow up with American comics, DC Comics, Paul, of course, but all the comics from America. And also as a European, I grew up with Moebius, with Druillet, Schuiten, all the European creators. And the simple fact, after 1.5 days of technology, creative and cultural marathon, the facts of being the moderator of a comics and technology panel is for me a challenge. I hope, Kira, that in half an hour you will still be my friend, because it's a very huge responsibility. Around this panel, I'm very pleased to welcome Sophie. Sophie, welcome. Please, in 1 minute, introduce yourself, your passion, what you're doing every day.
Okay, so I'm working in comics. I've been working for comics like now it's been 20 years, let's say, so quite a long time. And my main job is selling rights. So I'm the head of foreign rights license at Media Participation, and I represent the major catalog, European, let's say French and Belgium comics catalog. So I can list Hugo, Dupuis, Lombard, and maybe you may know some of the main character like Lucky Luke, Gaston, Spirou, and Blueberry by Giraud.
Let's say the big European legends of comics. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having time for this vision of the next world, technology and comics. Kira, very happy to be connected with you. You're, of course, extraordinarily active in technology, but also in art worlds. Please introduce yourself, Kira. And thank you for being the organizer of this challenging, extraordinary panel.
In essence, I love comic books, and I am using technology to reformat comic books and make them available for language learning tools and accessible worldwide on digital as language learning tools, as well as subject and as well as corporate training now, because comic books are the most incredible communicators there are, and can be multi-purposed and multi-used on so many levels, and technology has allowed amazing steps to be taken, which I've absolutely grabbed and doing the very best I can to promote it, enlarge it, and make it accessible to the world.
Thank you very much. Hello, Victor. How are you doing? Where are you located right now? Where are you located?
I'm in my studio in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, Ohio, nice place to be. Yes. I'm a fan of the of the North and the Midwest of America. So next time I will be around, maybe I come and see you, Victor. Okay, please introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Victor Dandridge. I'm a self-publishing comic creator, born and raised right here in Columbus, Ohio. In addition to creating my own imprint, Vantage and House Productions, I also teach using comic books with an imprint called You Create Comics, showcasing the educational value of the comic book medium to new students. I was recently appointed to the editor-in-chief of the newly minted Wizard magazine. So I'm very, very happy to be here to represent all the great things that American comics can create.
Thank you very much. Let's move up to Europe. André, hello. How are you doing? Are you located in France, in Belgium? Where are you located?
Actually, I'm in Berlin. I'm in Berlin, Germany. So to make it even more international. And so I'm marketing director of Aktualität.
Ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen. Kannst du auch ein
bisschen? Sehr gerne auf Deutsch reden, wenn du magst.
Genau. Yes, move up to English right now. Welcome.
And so I'm marketing director of Aktualität.com, and so I'm helping especially Didier Passamonique in growing and also adapting to this more digital world, and to try new technologies and how they can adapt to the comic book industry. And in the past, what I have done is I was the creator of the first Friends social network in 2000 that I sold to Classmates.com. And then I was the marketing director for Classmates in Europe for quite a long time. And now I help startups to grow for the marketing and the technology part of that.
So if you have some minutes, extra minutes, you can be a member of the jury. I can arrange that for that. The next pitching session is about half an hour. Didier, please introduce yourself because you're connected, obviously, with André.
Yes, my background is a comics from Dargaud, from Dupuis, sorry, called Largo Winch, because I'm the curator of an exhibition Largo Winch in Paris, which is closed for the moment. And so I'm a long time in this business, maybe more than 40 years. I was publisher and I create my own company. Sorry?
It works quite well. Go ahead.
Okay. I created my first company in 79 in Belgium. And so I have a long career. I was directing manager of the Humanoids in the 80s. And I'm even was the first publisher of Paul Pope in France. I'm very proud of it. Paul is a very good friend of me a long time, and I remember a good moment in Angoulême. So, and now I'm directing manager of ActuABD, which is the first website in France about comics. If you need information about comics in France, you have to go on ActuABD, where you have everything. Every day, it's a daily website, and so that's why we are very implicated in this business.
Thank you. And last but not least,
nationally.
Thank you.
I forgot also a little detail. I worked together with Kira on Lingozing for now a couple of years. So, sorry.
It's more important to see that you go to all the comic book festivals all over the world, so you know the entire international comic book scene. That's what.
All right, and last but not least, this guy is a legend. Of course, for me, it's a big honor to welcome you on this panel, Paul. Paul, I don't know if I should read all your CV. Maybe the whole panel will not be sufficient, but can you introduce yourself? I know that you have lots of fans and they are connected. Welcome and thank you for your time with us, Paul.
Of course. It's incredible listening to, realizing everyone on the panel. Victor, we haven't met, I don't think, but I also studied in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes.
You might have heard that.
I definitely did.
I work with Kira. Indeed, DDA was my first French publisher and published some of the comics and the bande dessinée, Yves Chaland, for example, who got me into an interest in comics and more specifically into international comics. And Sophie and I work together at Dargaud. I owe her some work right now, so we have an ongoing. Dargaud is my publisher in France right now, so it's pretty amazing to be here right now. And thank you, Kira, for inviting me to this talk.
Thank you for all.
We can see you.
So having so many professional and artistic legends is a huge challenge for me. But guys, you know that in my global village, we are trying to establish connection within two different worlds, the worlds of technology and the worlds of artists, or the worlds of business, of culture, education. So today, for the first time, we focus on the comic books industry. And so that will be my first questions. We have talked about tourism, about events. We have a lot of, it was a terrible experience within the COVID, but everything is going to change. So concerning your industry, guys, what's it going to change? Was it a good opportunity? What was the danger? And which role has the technology in this mutation, in this big disruption? Who wants to start and to answer to these first questions? Please feel free. Help me. Who wants to answer first?
I'll gladly jump
Victor,
in.
Come on, go ahead.
Yeah, I got you. So one of the things that COVID has actually shown is with the diminishment of comic conventions in the United States, especially, how wide and varied technology will be to marketing and promotions for individual creators. We had a moment where the mainstream audience or publishers kind of shut down, at least through the lack of distribution through Diamond, but the independent creators were able to use technology to maintain not only their productivity, but also their marketing strategies, their outreach, and it allowed for a lot of creators to recognize that they actually don't need the traditional models as much as they used to think that they did. They actually have a lot more access to readers, products, all kinds of things in order to create things. So I think that there is going to be this explosion of creators that recognize that they have the opportunity to create things without any sort of gatekeeping or barriers that they used to feel that they had.
Thank you. Some of the changes, big disruption. How do you feel this this evolution? Big opportunity, big danger. Who wants to react? Sophie.
Me, I can just actually, I forgot to mention that I've launched a project in 2015, quite important project, which the name is Europe Comics, and it's purely digital. So we are translating, and we've been producing 200 titles yearly in English and distributed digitally. And I must confess that during the COVID, so last year, we had to, because we got some subsidy from the European Commission. So I knew that we needed this funding because it was quite an investment for, even if we are part of a major group, because digital has been developing, but still, to make good translation, to do a proper job, it costs, and we needed some help. And also to be able to provide enough material and the global market in English to exist, because we had in France, in Comixology, major catalog with a huge number of titles. So last year during the COVID, we had to reduce the number of titles by 50% because we had no more subsidies, but we still released 100 titles. And our turnover went up of 40%. And what I would say, and Paul know, we miss meeting people. I mean, I can't think of my job without meeting people. So selling rights all over the world was already digital. And we haven't, in the business, we haven't, I mean, our business was, in terms of selling rights, we went down a bit of 10%, which is not so much compared of a lot of
industry.
industry. And comics, and actually it's been really great for me to work in the comics industry, because internationally, the presence of comics raised worldwide, and from really a niche, it's still a niche globally, but it's being raising, and of course, digital technology, then social networks really helped to meet Paul Pope, to know his work, to have his work all over the world, and contact him, have more contact with authors.
Yes, you talk about technology. Within my global village, we have 20 diverse work groups. Ones are dealing with blockchain, some others with artificial intelligence, some others with web technology, I don't know, biotech. So in the comics industry, from your point of view, which are the key technology that helps to develop, and which technology could be a danger, if some could be dangerous? Who wants to react?
I might jump in here real quick.
All right, Paul.
In terms of the COVID time, I've thought of this as the stealth years, because cartoonists are already in quarantine. We barely leave our homes, and working internationally, most of the people I know, I mean, even though I live in Manhattan in New York, most of the artists that I know here, there's lots of cartoonists here, and we don't see each other. So I spend as much time online talking to friends in Europe or Brazil, let's say, for example, as I do local people. So I've just tried to really focus on work, and I've got a couple of books I'm finishing this year. So, and I work analog art, so I'm traditional in that sense. I draw on paper with traditional tools. I don't work digitally. at all, really, because I get carpal tunnel, so sometimes I can't draw. It's a problem. But in this sense, I think I'm waiting out because for me, my heart is in print, and I'm interested in having things in print. We could, if you want to discuss cryptocurrency and stuff, we can do that too.
Yeah, I don't know. No, but I was surprised how cryptocurrency or IA, yesterday we're talking about cinema industry, how IA is really disrupting the industry in the way of designing the scenario, of understanding what the viewers are expecting. Is that strange could change also the face of your industry, or maybe also the relation with the public, the social reaction. Do you use this technology, or do you think that it could be used in a short future?
Well, may I respond to that quickly?
Of course. Go, Kira.
Quickly, I'm just going to say there's two things here. On this panel, we're talking about building technologies to distribute international material, which is one thing. And then the other thing is investment, right? And so that's a different class of people who might be trying to get a piece of the action. After Marvel and DC have won film and media, it's guaranteed that we in bande dessinée, comics, and manga are the research and development wing of media. So I think that's our role. And so that's the one point I wanted to make.
You confirm, Victor, you want to react? Andre, Didier, no reaction from now on, no technology. Kira, you want to react first, then Victor, and then maybe Andre and Didier, and then Marie. I will introduce you, Marie, in Namur. She has a question for you guys. But first, Kira.
Very important. AI and all of those robotic abilities. Yes, they are great delivery. They have certain editing qualities, I would say. However, the key to communication, education, and so on are emotional. So to be able to successfully communicate and teach, stories are the basis of all things. Whether it was sitting around a campfire with the Neanderthals around and tell stories, stories are still the major communicators. So whether they're in film, in books, or in comic books, they are still, I believe, more effective than AI can ever be. AI can help, support, distribute, edit for those that cannot or whatever. So when it comes to technology, AI, comic books, and communication, that is one of the important reasons why I created Lingozing, because it is a tool that actually helps communicate and teach. And for instance, even talking about cryptocurrency. We created a book, as Sophie knows, called Crypto, which was the first comic book that explains cryptocurrency. Well, the result is that now I'm talking to groups that want to share that comic book with Africa, with everywhere, so as to teach people how it works. Again, this is not AI. This is simple storytelling, because within a narrative context, you learn, you retain, you engage. Otherwise, you're bored to tears. You go and get a glass of wine. Then you forgot why you took the glass of wine. And then we're back to square one.
It can be, I don't know if it's a bad or wrong program when you talk a glass of wine to a French, you know how we will react. Huh? Victor, you want to react? Andre, Didier, are you sleeping, guys, or are you not concerned by technology? Tell me, guys.
Well, the biggest concern that I have with technology in this facet is that it does remove kind of what Paul is talking about, the human engagement factor. Particularly within COVID, there were comic shops that were often bastions, like, safe havens for geeky lifestyles that had to, shut down. And consequently, there are the only safe places or semi-safe places would be on the internet, which everyone knows is not exactly a safe place for alternative thoughts, lifestyles, things like that. So comic books and general geekdom as this other alternative lifestyle, feature almost needs these physical places in order to thrive and survive. And we don't have that right now. And I think that's a big danger. While yes, we can probably reach a wider audience, there is a personal disconnect because we're not engaged in the same space. The anonymity of the internet is often a dangerous thing. And it's often why you don't see other digitally based components have strong community bases outside of physical events, esports, video games. They don't have that same level of community until they had live events where competitors could play against one another, and then it became people that you understood were playing these games or making these games. You have to have that sense of recognition that there's a sense of humanity behind the work that's being created in order to view it as such. Otherwise, it becomes just this blanket, almost commercial hodgepodge of mess that just kind of comes out, and you just assume that it's going to be there. It's not personalized at all, and we need that.
Mhm.
Okay, great. André, Didier, so tell me your visions of the next future. Some people in the art and the cultural industry are connected to our panel today. We want to know what can they do to be successful within technology and art. André, Didier.
I start.
Okay.
The two questions, is technology an opportunity? Yes. Is technology a danger? Yes. And that's why we have to think about what's happened this last year. The beginning of the comics, it was in the 19th century, and it was a newspaper, the place for the comics. And from the 50s, the place for the comics, that was comic books. And from 30s and 50s, comic books and graphic novel. And now it's the place of the comics is also the screen. And the cinema don't kill the theater, and the TV don't kill the cinema. So I think the new technology will never kill comics and even bande dessinée. All those creation will stay on the same level. But what is interesting is the way that the comics was developed this last year. And there is a big difference between Europe and the United States, and also Asia, Japan, Korea, China, because the status of the author is very different. In France, the status of the author is very strong, very the law defend the authors, and that's why the comics industry is not so involved in the new technologies in Europe for the moment. The main publisher of comics online is Isneo. The sales is less than $6 million a year, so it's nothing. And it's because the status of the author, and also because André will explain that more than me, that also because the market is not ready for this new revolution. And it's a revolution for the artist. It's a revolution for the business model of publishing and of the distribution. And just a point, and I will stop after that. The half of the creation of the artist in France worked on tablet now. There is no more original like Paul is talking about. And today, this week in Paris, in the Gallery Maguen, there is an artist called Gatignol, and he redraw he created his comics on the tablet, and he redraw all his comics in order to be able to sell the original in the gallery.
Wow.
And the reason of that, it's also because there is such a an important offer of comics. There is so much title published each year that it's very difficult for the authors to earn money with their job. And that's why they need to sell in galleries. And that's the situation for the moment. It's very difficult, except some bestsellers, to subsist in this industry. So I stopped there.
Okay, thank you. It's very frustrating even for me because we only have half an hour, but you can be sure that if you still love me in the future, I will organizing a very longer panel if, of course, Kira help us do it. So as a last, maybe we still have 2 minutes, so it's about 30 seconds of conclusion for each of you. Marie, you wanted to ask questions to our guest, and I know that Michel is also a very fan because we are both Belgium, so you are like French. You were born within the comics industry. Your question for our guest. Marie is a Woman of the Year of the Francophonic world, and she's curating the Kick Festival in Namur, which is an extraordinary creative festival. Marie, your question.
Yes, thank you, Marc-Lionel. We only have time for one answer, so maybe the person who has the strongest feeling about my question can answer. So my question is, what is your feeling about NFTs? And do you think it's in relation to the comics industry world? And do you think it could be an opportunity, or do you think it's just like a speculative bubble? Does someone feel like answering? Okay, Paul.
Or and maybe Andre, because I don't want to be. Okay.
I'll be very fast with this. My art rep we've been dealing with the question of NFTs and crypto for months. This is not a new thing for people in this area. I think there's two things. Again, I think right now the people making money with NFT sales for digital are largely the people who are investing, like it's an investor class. I'm not sure artists are getting money because every time, even though you can, two things. The good thing in the long term, is we need, this is a new technology we want, because we can create a digital archive of our work and own it, unless it's licensed of Batman or something. But I think it's a little too early to get involved. And I'm saying this because I'm getting offers. It's too early because of the moral hazards of the energy levels that are being required. But they will fix this. The people that create this technology are like Rain Man, like that movie Rain Man. Like all they think about is how to rebuild these things. It's decentralized currency. It's very good. It's removed from the euro. It's removed from the dollar. It's removed from the yen. So I think it does have a future, but I think it's a little too soon to get involved.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much. I hope that you will be a guest in our next focus, maybe during Cannes Film Festival in July. We'll be very happy to have a very longer, of course, focus on it. Andre, 20 seconds of conclusion. You mute up your microphone, Andre.
We didn't talk a lot about smartphones, but the really big trend that we see is the rise of webtoons. The fact that actually mangas are kind of like stagnating, whereas the webtoon, thanks to Naver, but also initiatives in France from Delcourt and TF1, we see a very, very strong growth there. And it changes everything for the business model because people start by reading the first episodes for free and then have to spend coins to read the next ones. But what happens for the original authors who are used to publish one time per year, when they are asked here to only earn money if they publish every 2 weeks? That's a huge change of business model.
It's very interesting. Let's talk about it. And during our next My Global Technology and Comics panel. Okay, your focus for our next topic, Sophie.
Sorry.
As a conclusion, in 20 seconds of conclusion, which...
okay, I was not expecting everybody was... I'm sorry, we have an echo there. Yeah, I think Webtoon actually is also a trend. I mean, it's from my main goal in a way is in Asia, in Korea, Webtoon has replaced quite completely the comics market. And in Japan, not yet, but they are growing because they are Korean are starting to invest in Japan. And you were mentioning Delcourt, also Dupuis tried to create a platform, Webtoon Factory. And the trend is that anyway, we need to face this invasion of Asian content and try to resist to provide our own and creative ideas.
Thank you very much. Didier, your conclusion in 5 seconds. You mute up. Victor, the time that Didier find it again. Okay, Didier, your conclusion.
I think there is too much to talk about. You know, we didn't talk about the crowdfunding and also the crowd publishing. It's also a topic that we have to talk later.
But thank you. Let's talk about it in the coming weeks. Victor, your conclusion.
My conclusion is that more people in localized spaces need to be compelled to make their own content. So that way you're not necessarily aiming for a globalized market to feed everyone. You actually can create personalized pieces that are significant to certain areas and speak to those readers.
Thank you very much. Next time you'll explain to me what's going on in Columbus, because we are also found an extraordinary TV, Aka TV. I don't know if you know them. They're connecting Africa with innovative culture. So we will focus on the Columbus next time. Conclusion of all the conclusion, Kira, that's for specialists, and that's your turn to conclude this panel. And of course, in about 30 seconds.
30 seconds, 30 minutes, maybe a couple of hours. I think that there are many areas of technology that are helping the digital. There's a company called Unomi that is able to make immobile images move, lips synchronize with words. We're the only audio comic book around at this moment. So I'm exploring how to integrate even more technology and interesting elements into Lingozing. And I think that there's a world of opportunity. I think most important of all, and the only real problem, is exposure, because there is the quantity overwhelms quality. So if we are able to obtain the right viewership with the digital, miracles can be accomplished, and we can maintain art as well in Belgian, French comic books, as Korean, as Japanese, because everybody has an interest from one to the other, one or the other.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. It was the first focus on comics and technology connection. I'm very, very happy to have you during this panel. Hopefully in the coming weeks, month, we'll invite you again for a longer show. And if you are not convinced, let me show you where we're working here. I don't know if you see the Eiffel Tower and the rooftop where we're working. So guys, dear American cousin, next time to come to Paris, let's us organize for you a comics and technology barbecue on the roof, just in front of the Eiffel Tower and l'Arc de Triomphe. Is it all right? Thank you very much.
Definitely.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And now let's